What is up, guys, and welcome back to part 19 of my F1 2016 career mode here at the Mexican Grand Prix. And can you believe that we are already at round 19 of this first season of the career mode? 3 races left to go of this season. It's gone so quickly. I posted the American Grand Prix earlier on today, so if you have missed that, don't forget to click the little card annotation in the top right hand corner of your screen to go check out that video. And of course, if you missed any of the previous 18 rounds as well, you can click that little card annotation and the whole playlist will be there for you to go catch up on. But now, I've given you enough time to catch up on the American Grand Prix. It was a terrible race for myself, I have to be honest. It was an absolutely awful race for me there at the American Grand Prix. Down in, I think it was 16th was probably the best. It might have even been lower than that, but it was a very disappointing race for myself. And we just lost it in turn 1. After that crash with Daniel Ricciardo, put us to the back of the field. We just didn't have the pace at that circuit to keep up with the other guys. You know, maybe if we didn't have that collision, we might have been able to fight for a low points finish, but unfortunately that just wasn't the case after that lap 1 incident, and unfortunately we finished outside the points after a very disappointing Grand Prix. But we will be looking to bounce back here today in Mexico. It is a good track for me, I think, but obviously it's a bit of an unknown because I haven't tried it out on this new game. So we're just going to have to wait and see. But I think Chris has a little bit of news for us on some research and development, so let's go head over to him.
Hey, our upgrade pace is looking solid right now, but I do think we need to push harder if we want to stay competitive. Here's the report.
I'm not too sure if Chris got the memo there that we have ceased our R&D on our car at the moment, but Toro Rosso look like they have upgraded their car. Mercedes, I believe, upgraded their car last time out of the USA Grand Prix, so I think that's just an update from there. But Toro Rosso have decided to do it this race, and yeah, they've done a lot of stuff on their car, and so have Sahara Force India. So both of those two teams upgrading their car, and I mean for Force India finally upgrading their car. They've now moved off from, I think they were 3rd from bottom, they've moved up a little bit in the performance race. Red Bull Racing dropped down massively. They've dropped down below Toro Rosso, which is really embarrassing for those guys, and hopefully that will help me out in my rivalry against Max Verstappen, and of course my championship rivalry with Daniel Ricciardo as well. But we're going to see how this sort of affects the standings, how all the other teams change positions as we head into practice.
Welcome to Mexico, where we start the weekend with Friday practice. This session will give us a good indication of just who has the upper hand for qualifying tomorrow.
Here we are then, going over my first couple of laps in this practice session, doing the track acclimatization as I always do right at the start of the practice sessions, getting a purple score, which is absolutely fantastic, maximizing the amount of research and development points that I have for Season 2 in this Renault. And then we went out, we did the tyre management test as well, and that went absolutely fantastically as well. Last time at the American Grand Prix, we really struggled with that, but this time around in Mexico, fantastic result, purple once again, and getting even more research and development points. And there's a few guys around us on track, so we did actually have to have a couple of battles with some guys while we were doing that, so that is absolutely fantastic news. And then we did the qualifying one. Not as good, but at least we managed to pass it. We come down towards the line and we do manage to get a green score in the qualifying one. So we unfortunately did not quite get the purple score, but to still get the green score, absolutely fantastic. And we can take that on and across the rest of the race weekend at this Mexican Grand Prix. But looking at the standings, we were up in 3rd position, not down in 3rd position, we were up in 3rd position in the qualifying session, but we were the only guy to run the Supersoft, so take that with a pinch of salt. We might not be up in 3rd position in the qualifying session, but if we are, then that's absolutely fantastic. Kimi Räikkönen up there, and so is Lewis Hamilton. Do expect the Ferraris to be really solid here. I mean, their performance is absolutely fantastic in the research and development. They are clearly the team out in front. They're absolutely dominating at the moment. But P3 is an absolutely fantastic result, and that sets us up really well for the qualifying sessions.
Welcome back to the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez circuit, where qualifying will begin shortly.
Here we are then in qualifying 1, and now I say this all the time. I mean, we should be able to get into Q2 very easy, especially where our car is in the research and development race. It should be into Q3, and it should be into Q2, and it should definitely be into Q3. But you know, we might struggle. I'm not too sure how we are going to do, because we usually do really bad in qualifying. For some reason, the AI really step up their game in qualifying compared to practice, and then when we do the race, it sort of comes down a little bit. So I'm not too sure whether that's the setup that we're using compared to the AI. I'm not too sure. Yeah, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. For now, we're just going to go out on track, set a couple of laps, and hopefully be good enough to get into Q2. Here we are then coming round the last corner for our first lap here in qualifying 1. Down towards the line, losing that back end quite a bit through that final corner. Down towards the line, it's at 1:20.886, which was a fantastic lap in practice, but for some reason is down in 22nd position in qualifying. So really struggling here at the Mexican Grand Prix. We're going to have to go out for one more lap in qualifying. At the moment, it is an improvement. It's 8 tenths up on our previous best time. It is coming down, so it's going to be about 7 tenths. We lose the back end massively, though, so it drops the time even more. Is it good enough to get into Q2? No, it's not. It's only good enough for 18th position in qualifying. A really disappointing result here in today's qualifying session. You know, we had a fantastic practice. Jolyon Palmer up into 2nd place. So the Renault had the pace in, but for some reason we were so much slower compared to the rest of the air. Daniel Ricciardo also getting knocked out in Q1. Unfortunately, making a mistake there, going on the soft tyres when he really should have gone on the super softs, and he's kind of been caught out there down in 17th place. Then we have the usual suspects of the Saubers and the Manners, but down in 18th position. Really disappointed with that result. But, like I've said before, qualifying doesn't necessarily mean the end of our race weekend. Sometimes, I mean most of the time, when we qualify down in 18th or lower, we usually have a fantastic race. So hopefully that happens here today, and we're just going to have to wait and see as we head into the race for the Mexican Grand Prix.
Formula One may have been absent from Mexico for 23 years, but after 2015's triumphant return, it was as if we'd never been away. In Mexico, a Grand Prix is more than just a race. It's a celebration of speed and of bravery. There's nothing quite like the atmosphere in the stadium today. They'll be drowning out the cars with their noise as they make their way through on lap 1. At 2,285 metres above sea level, the thin air of the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez poses a unique challenge, not just to a driver's skill, but to the efficiency of their engines as well. 17 corners make up a lap of this 2.6-mile circuit, and you can expect incredible speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour, and overtaking too into the hard braking zones of turns 1 and turn 4. And joining me amongst the cheers of the phenomenal Mexican fans, it's Anthony Davidson. And welcome along to this historic circuit. What an occasion this is.
Yeah, it's hard to believe when you see the passion this country has for the sport that Formula One was away from Mexico for so long. It's fantastic to be here, and let's hope that the race lives up to the party atmosphere we've got going. It's a real fast track, this. We get up to Monza levels of speed down the main straight thanks to the high altitude here at over 2,000 metres above sea level. And with that comes the challenge of having less downforce in the corners. So that makes it a really demanding circuit, both for the drivers and engineers.
We're looking for you to get at least 9th in today's race.
It's race day here at the Mexican Grand Prix, and we are starting in a very disappointing 18th position on the grid. It was a terrible qualifying session yesterday, but we'll be looking to bounce back here in today's race. We've got a lot of cars ahead of us that we need to get past to get into the points, and hopefully today's race strategy will help us out. So they're deciding to go for the softs at the start and then go on to the mediums. So they're going for a one-stop strategy. I think a lot of the field is going for either the same strategy or trying a two-stopper. So it's a little bit mixed in the field at the moment, but I do feel that, you know, I am good at my tyres. I managed to show that in the tyre wear management test in practice. So hopefully that can work out on us. I was trying to think of maybe going on to the mediums at the start and then going on to the softs, but the game wasn't allowing that. So yeah, we're just going to go for the softs at the start and then on to the mediums halfway through the race. But here we are getting away for the formation lap, and being at the back of the grid, we're going to have to wait a little bit for all the other cars to get going. But here we go, getting away for our formation lap. We're just going to start warming up the tyres, warming up the brakes, getting ourselves ready for the start of this Mexican Grand Prix, because obviously we don't want to get bogged down, because going down into turn 1, we want a fantastic start in order to try and get past all the other guys as soon as possible and then be in a points position within the first couple of corners. So Daniel Ricciardo going a little bit slow for my liking, but we're going to head back to the starting grid, and here we are on the starting grid. The lights starting to come on now. It's 5 red lights. Lights out, and away we go for the Mexican Grand Prix. Held for a very long time there, but we are underway for today's race. And it looks like we've got off to a fairly average start compared to all the other drivers. Going down in towards turn 1, there's a little bit of a gap between Felipe Massa and Jenson Button. No, that's closed up, so we might go in between Button and Alonso, which we do up the inside of a whole load of guys. What a fantastic start there at this Mexican Grand Prix, trying around the outside of Sergio Perez, going into turn 3, or just going into the back of Jolyon Palmer, who's going very, very slowly out of turn 3. And unfortunately, we have got minor front wing damage, and that is very, very disappointing after a fantastic initial start in this Mexican Grand Prix. Hopefully, though, it isn't enough to affect our race. I mean, they've changed the damage compared to F1 2015, where in F1 2015, if you broke a tiny bit of your front wing, your race was pretty much ruined. But now, you can kind of survive. So, it might be a little bit difficult going through the next section of corners through the S's section. But here we are having a look at a replay once again of that fantastic start in towards turns 1 and 2. So, here we go. Everyone getting away nice and cleanly. Doesn't look like there was any sort of contact so far. Going down in towards this very, very long straight. So we're stuck behind, we're side by side with a Red Bull, stuck behind a Williams and 2 McLarens. And then we find a gap between Alonso and Button. We dive it to the inside, dive it up at Force India, and looks like we get past a Williams as well at the same time, trying to move around Sergio Perez, which works. But unfortunately, Jolyon Palmer, which we didn't expect, goes very, very slow through turn 3. And we just kind of go into the back of him, lose a bit of our front wing, and it's going to be a little bit difficult from there on in. But luckily, the damage isn't as bad as it was compared to America. So we should be able to survive for a good amount of laps and maybe not have to change our race strategy. But here we go, having another look at the race start. On board with myself this time. So there is the Red Bull on the left-hand side. You can see a gap between the Williams and the McLaren. And I was thinking about going for that gap initially, but then those two squeezed together. So I was like, okay, not going through there. Then there was a gap forming between Button and Alonso. And I was just very, very late on the brakes. I didn't actually think that I was going to get the car stopped in towards that corner. But I managed to go round the outside of Sergio Perez and then just getting caught up on Jolyon Palmer. That was really, really unfortunate. Had we just been a little bit slower through turn 3, got on the power a little bit later, we could have had a fantastic run on all these guys down in towards this next corner and possibly be within a good solid point position. But for now, I think we're in 12th position. We just have to wait and see after the replay has ended. But I'm pretty sure we're in 12th position. And here we are on board with a Haas driver of Roman Grosjean, who had a fantastic qualifying session. He's very, very high in the race at the moment. I think he's running in 3rd place. We go down, and his engine is blown up from 3rd position in this Mexican Grand Prix. He was having a fantastic race, but unfortunately, he's going to have to pull over to the side. And that is the end of Roman Grosjean's race. And just as we were going to go for an overtake on Sergio Perez to try and get into the points, the virtual safety car comes out, neutralizes the whole field. And unfortunately, we will not be able to go for an overtake for at least a good couple of corners. And here we go. The safety car is ending, and we might be able to go for a run on Sergio Perez down in towards the stadium section. We're right on the tail of the Force India driver, going in the slipstream right now, pulling over to the right hand side. Can we dive it up the inside in towards the stadium section? Sergio Perez comes back at us around the outside, but there we go, job done on him, and we are up into the points in P10 in this Mexican Grand Prix. Up next for us is our teammate of Jolyon Palmer. We'll be looking to get past him in this next straight. I'm not too sure whether DRS is enabled or not. I don't think it will be. I don't think we will get DRS on Jolyon Palmer, so we're just going to have to rely on slipstream alone. It is enabled now, but it wasn't enabled by the DRS activation point, so unfortunately we do not get it down this straight, and we will not get it down the next straight either. But we have got the slipstream, and that is enough to get past our teammate of Jolyon Palmer. And there we go, job done, and up into P9. Now we've got a couple of guys ahead of us. Danny Kvyat, I think they're Max Verstappen in there, Nico Rosberg, Lewis Hamilton, who are going side by side at the moment. That's holding everybody up, and we have got a fantastic run on all of those guys up into P5. What a move on all those guys. Just being a little bit hesitant in towards turn 3, because we know what happened after that incident with Jolyon Palmer. And there we go, job done on all those guys up into P5, and it's a fantastic start to this Mexican Grand Prix. Gutierrez coming into the pits now, so that's going to put me up into P4 as well, so that is even more brilliant news. Lewis Hamilton behind me, but he's not able to go for a move. You know, the upgrades that we've done to this Renault has just made us so quick in a straight line that a lot of the guys can't really keep up with us, which is absolutely fantastic compared to what it was like at the start of the season. A couple more guys coming into the pits. That moves us up into 3rd position. Carlos Sainz is up into 2nd. So I think Sebastian Vettel came into the pits then, and now we're coming into the pits once again. No, we're not coming to the pits. A lot of other guys coming into the pits once again, and we're up into the lead of this Mexican Grand Prix. But don't know how long we're going to hold that for, because obviously we'd have to make a pit stop, and we'll probably have to get a front wing change as well. But here's Felipe Massa going up the inside of my teammate in towards turn 1. It looks like he's got the job done for the time being. Going around the outside of turn 2 in towards turn 3. It's side by side at the moment. He squeezes Jolyon Palmer out wide. A little bit of a fishtail there on the exit, but it looks like he's got the job done and up into what I believe is a P9 position, but his engine is gone. Felipe Massa is the second driver to have an engine failure in this Mexican Grand Prix. He's going to have to pull over to the side of the road, and that is Felipe Massa's race over. So very, very disappointing for the Williams driver, but enough of that. We've now got Kimi Räikkönen going for a move on us in towards the stadium section, pulling over to the right-hand side. We're going to have to try and hold it around the outside. Can't quite squeeze it through there. Maybe have a look up the inside in towards the hairpin, in towards the right-hander now. Kimi Räikkönen gets a better drive out of the hairpin. It looks like he's got the job done for the race lead. However, we have got the DRS coming up, so we should be able to get back past him down in towards turn 1. Here we are following behind Kimi Räikkönen. DRS activated now. So here we go down in towards turn 1. We're so much quicker in a straight line compared to the Ferrari driver. Pulling over to the right hand side, and it should be a fairly easy move in towards turn 1. And there we go. Job done on Kimi Räikkönen. Back up into the lead of this Mexican Grand Prix. And we'll be looking to hold on to it for the next couple of laps. We will get DRS once again. That should be enough to hold on to position. Now we've got Valtteri Bottas putting us under pressure going down in towards turn 1 as well. He's following in the slipstream and using the DRS, pulling over to the left hand side. We know the Williams is very, very quick in a straight line. So here we go, going down in towards turn 1. Can he hold it round the outside? No, he can't. We lock up just a little bit, but it's enough to stay ahead. And now we are going to hold the race lead once again. But coming out of the corner, looks like we've lost the back end just a little bit of a shake of the wheel. And that's allowed Kimi Räikkönen to have a fantastic run on us down in towards turns 4 and 5. And can we try and move up the inside? No, we can't. We're just a little bit too far back on the Ferrari driver. And it looks like he's got the job done for the race lead, but hopefully he can make a couple more pit stops and we can get back past him that way. But we are on lap 15 at the moment. And are we coming into the pits? Yes, we are, for our first pit stop in this Mexican Grand Prix. Getting it brake before the line, getting it stopped before the line, managing to meet the speed limit for the pit lane, and now coming into pits for our first pit stop in this race. We need it to be a quick one, but unfortunately that is not going to be the case, as we are getting a new front wing fitted to the car. Unfortunately, you don't have the option at the moment to decide whether you want a new front wing or not. I believe that is coming in the new patch, so that will be really, really helpful for the rest of the season. But unfortunately, that does mean that both Valtteri Bottas, I think that is, yes, of course it's Valtteri Bottas, because Felipe Massa is out of the race, and Daniel Ricciardo have got the jump on us and have moved above us. So we're down into P15 at the moment. We should stay ahead of Fernando Alonso, who is right behind us on track at the moment, which we do. We just stay ahead of Fernando Alonso. Now we are going to be trying to hunt down Daniel Ricciardo. So a few more guys just came into the pit, so that bumps us up into P11, and we are hunting down a points position at the moment, being a little bit hesitant in towards turn 2. We know what's happened before. We don't want to make that same mistake, and now we are following behind the Red Bull of Daniel Ricciardo. We have the DRS on him, but he has the DRS on Valtteri Bottas as well, so it's going to have to be a dive bomb move if we want to try and move in towards turn 4, which we have done side by side with Daniel Ricciardo, and there we go, job done on the Red Bull driver, up into P10 and into the points of this Mexican Grand Prix. Up next for us is Valtteri Bottas, as we lose the back end just a little bit through turn 5, but we do manage to hold on to it, and now we are right on the tail of Valtteri Bottas, who is in 8th position. We've been bumped up into 9th, and it looks like we're going to be bumped up a little bit more as there's a couple more drivers into pits, including my teammate Jolyon Palmer, and we move up into 6th position now. Valtteri Bottas, we've got the slipstream, we've got the DRS on him going down in towards turn 1. Looks like Jenson Button is going for a move on Gutierrez. We get the job done on Bottas. Can we get the job done on Gutierrez as well? We're following behind Jenson Button. There we go, job done on the Haas driver of Esteban Gutierrez, and now we'll be looking to get past Jenson Button for this podium position. Can you believe we are back fighting for a podium after starting in 18th position, losing a front wing, having to get a new front wing fitted, and now be battling for a podium position with Jenson Button, of all people. You would not expect him to be up there, certainly battling for a podium as well. But here we are on board with myself once again on lap 23 in this race. DRS activated. We have got a run on Jenson Button. We're so much quicker than the McLaren Honda in a straight line, and it's a fairly easy move down in towards turn 1. No real challenge in towards under braking into the corner, and there we go, up into P3 on the podium once again, and hunting down the two Ferraris of Sebastian Vettel and Kimi Räikkönen. We'll be hoping that both those guys will have more pit stops to make in this race, but I don't think that is going to happen, as we're under pressure just a little bit from Nico Rosberg going down in towards turn 1. He's going to hold it round the left-hand side, going down. He's going to have to hold the outside line in towards turn 1 as well. He's up into the podium position, under braking, not quite able to go for a move in towards turn 1 now. And in towards turn 2 and turn 3, trying to get a good run on the Mercedes driver, trying to get the DRS on him as well, trying to get maybe a dive bomb move in towards turn 4 and 5, but then we realised that there is no DRS because there's only one activation and detection point. So a little bit disappointing to not get the job done on Nico Rosberg there, but if we can hold behind him, we could be able to get moved down in towards turn 1, which we're just not quick enough and just not close enough to the Mercedes driver. Unfortunately, it was a trait for the whole race. We were losing so much time through the stadium section and that final corner under traction because our tyres are so worn at this stage, and unfortunately we couldn't get the move done. But here we are, good run on Nico Rosberg down in towards turn 4. We're just going to have a little look up the inside, but unfortunately failing to turn for the corner there, just locking up and running it a little bit deep in towards Nico Rosberg, and unfortunately, you know, just squeeze him out a little bit, but we did give him the position back, and now we're having a little look up the inside into the hairpin, but unfortunately Nico Rosberg has got a better drive out of that corner, and he gets the job done in towards the S's section. We had a good go on the Mercedes driver there, but unfortunately just couldn't get the move done, and now we are under pressure from the Red Bull of Daniel Ricciardo going into the stadium section. He is right to my tail, and we've run it wide into the right hand of the stadium section. That gives Daniel Ricciardo a fantastic opportunity to go round the outside into the hairpin. He's going to have a good drive, just like Kimi Raikkonen did, in towards the right hander. We lose the back end. We go into the side of Daniel Ricciardo. Yellow flags are out. I'm not too sure how serious that collision was with Daniel Ricciardo. I'm not too sure if he spun out or anything. Let's have a look at replay of what's happened there. So this is the off-board view of myself. So going down into the stadium section, I run it wide. That gives Daniel Ricciardo a very, very good opportunity to go around the outside into the hairpin. He gets a good drive out to the corner, going down in towards the next corner, and there's a big snap on the rear end. That's enough to put me into the side of Daniel Ricciardo, puts himself into a spin, and unfortunately for Daniel Ricciardo, he's lost out massively because of this collision. Let's have a look on board with the Red Bull drivers. So coming into this corner, we run it wide. That gives Daniel Ricciardo a great opportunity to go side by side with myself, around the outside into the hairpin. And so far, so good for Daniel Ricciardo. All he has to do is hold the inside line. I mean, he gives us enough room on the outside, but unfortunately that snap of oversteer just puts us into the side of Daniel Ricciardo. And unfortunately for him, that puts him into a bit of a spot there where he has to let all the other drivers through, and he's on board with me. So you'll be able to see that I'm turning left when it happens. So I didn't actually turn into him, but in towards the right. So just watch the steering wheel at the moment. I turn it left now, and the car just keeps going to the right. I try and counteract the oversteer, and unfortunately that wasn't enough, and it put me into Daniel Ricciardo. But now we are under pressure from the Toro Rosso of I think this is Carlos Sainz. Yes, it is Carlos Sainz going for a move. He's on the left hand side. There's a little bit of a tyre bang between the two of us as we go down in towards turn 1. There's 2 laps remaining in this Mexican Grand Prix. Can we get the move done on the Carlos Sainz up the inside? Not quite through turn 1 or turn 2. There's a little bit of contact there between me and Carlos Sainz. Is it enough for a bit of a front wing damage? We're just going to have to check that in a second, but we've had a good exit compared to the Toro Rosso driver down in towards turn 4. The engineer wanting to consider changing strategy. We haven't got any damage on our front wing, but our rear tyres are looking absolutely disgusting at the moment. They are so worn, 70% on that rear left, but we did manage to get past Carlos Sainz there in towards turn 4 and turn 5, so that was a good move to get back up in towards P4. But now we are under pressure from not only Carlos Sainz, but our rival Max Verstappen as well, as we run down in towards turn 1. Max Verstappen will be looking to get revenge on his teammate, and down in towards turn 1, Max Verstappen for now has got the move done. And under braking in towards turn 1, we just managed to get Max Verstappen on the inside. Now it would be trying to get a good run down in towards turn 4, but unfortunately we go into the back of Carlos Sainz once again, and this time around it is enough for front wing damage, which our engineers should probably confirm in a second. But going down in towards the left-hander of turn 4, still following behind Carlos Sainz at the moment, in towards the right-hander, so close to the back of the Toro Rosso driver, but unfortunately it was just not close enough. Our tyres have gone away from us now, as Kimi Raikkonen is today's Mexican Grand Prix race winner. Unfortunately, we're not going to get on the podium. We're not going to get 4th position either. Carlos Sainz is just too quick on those fresher tyres. In towards the left-hander, in towards the S's section now, and we've got Max Verstappen right on our tail. He'll be looking to go for a move as soon as possible. We run it wide on the exit of the S's section. That gives Max Verstappen an easy move in towards the stadium section. Danny Kvyat also looking to get past us. The Red Bull family are looking to try and just literally humiliate me in this race after taking out one of their own of Daniel Ricciardo. But Danny Kvyat doesn't look like he's going to be able to get the job done. We're going to hold on to 6th position. We may be disappointed not to get in towards the top 4, but from 18th to 6th position is an absolutely fantastic result.
Good job, you did really well. Super driving.
Great effort there from Ferrari to take the victory today. And I have to wonder, Anthony Davidson, just what set them apart from the competition here.
The difference was clearly in the strategy. You could tell they'd done a lot of work on the pit wall to really optimise each stint and get the most out of the tyres. And it highlights just how much of a team sport this really is. But credit to the driver as well though, there's no good having a well-oiled machine behind the scenes without a talented hand on the wheel, of course.
And as we can see, it's time for the podium, and as the drivers make their way out, there's a familiar red suit making its way to the top step. Fantastic win for Ferrari.
So what a race there at the Mexican Grand Prix. We may have been a little bit disappointed not to get in the top 3 or the top 4. We were leading the race at one point as well, but the tyre wear, the strategy just wasn't the best today. The one that the team gave me was probably not the best one. We were just wearing the rears too much and unfortunately lost out so much time at the end of that race just due to tyre wear. That's how Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz got past us, and Danny Kvyat nearly got past us as well. But to still get in 6th position from starting 18th on the grid, absolutely fantastic result, and one that we can definitely be very, very proud of. Kimi Räikkönen, though, he won today's race with his teammate Sebastian Vettel finishing in 2nd. I'm pretty sure that wraps up the Constructors' title for them now. Nico Rosberg finished the race in 3rd with Carlos Sainz in 4th. Max Verstappen 5th. I finished in 6th with Danny Kvyat right behind me in 7th. Valtteri Bottas in 8th. Jolyon Palmer down in 9th position. Despite getting some penalties, he managed to still get into the points. A fantastic result for him. And Lewis Hamilton down in 10th position. So not the best of results for the Mercedes driver. But let's have a look at how this race affects us in the drivers' standings. And as you can see in the driver's standings, we are still in 7th position, but we have caught up the gap massively to Daniel Ricciardo. The gap is non-existent. We are on the exact same amount of points as the Red Bull driver. 121 points going into the last 2 races. So we need some good races in Brazil and in Abu Dhabi in order to jump Daniel Ricciardo, and hopefully we can do that. Nico Rosberg's jumped up above his teammate Lewis Hamilton in the standings. I think Sebastian Vettel has almost won the driver's standings. He hasn't quite done it yet. He needs to have a 50-point gap to Kimi Räikkönen, but he probably will do that next time around at the Brazilian Grand Prix. Let's have a look at how this affects us in the Constructors' standings, though. And unfortunately, because we lost out to Carlos Sainz towards the end of the race and had Danny Kvyat right behind us, Toro Rosso have got even further away from us in the Constructors' standings. The gap at the moment is 15 points in the Constructors. I mean, it is still possible for us to catch that up. There's 2 races left to go in this season. If me and Jolyon Palmer can do a good job for Renault, we could definitely catch up to Toro Rosso in the Constructors. Hopefully we can do that, but we're just going to have to wait and see. But that is it for today's Mexican Grand Prix. Let's head back to the menus. So taking a quick look at the rivalry update after today's race. And Max Verstappen, after getting us on that final lap of the race, unfortunately it's equal with the amount of points that we get in the rivalry update, so it's still the same gap, but 14 to 22 at the moment. It is sort of going more Max Verstappen's way at the moment with only 2 races left to go in the season, and hopefully we can get him, but I'm not too sure whether that is going to be possible or not. But that is it for today's Mexican Grand Prix. If you have enjoyed it, don't forget to smash that like button. Also subscribe to my channel if you are new around here. We've had so much Formula 1 content over the past 2 weeks of F1 2016 being released. That's just going to continue as the weeks go on. You know, this career mode will be coming to every single day. I know I did miss yesterday, but that's why I made up for it with today's double upload. And I hope you have enjoyed this double upload, with USA being earlier today and Mexico being later. And there might even be possibly another double upload tomorrow for the finale of this 2016 career mode. You're just going to have to wait and see for that. You know, I'm not quite confirming that. That might not happen, but, you know, it probably will happen for the final 2 races. We're probably going to put those 2 together for an absolute amazing double header as we wrap up this 2016 season. But I will see you next time at the Brazilian Grand Prix. Until then, though, it's goodbye from me.